to explain about static functions, I will just explain with a normal function and how that really works. And then I will go to static functions. And this way I will be able to explain two different things at one time, at a particular time. And that is like what normal functions do and what static functions do. So let's go ahead, and so I've created an integer main, if you can see, and I've created like a a standard username which is inbuilt for C++, and we have the file name which we have extracted or we have included within our main CPP program. All right, what we're going to do in here is going to create a class. So class, let me just remove the thing. Class Wednesday. So we have Wednesday class, or let's just go with ved dot, or just ved. Okay, and the next thing is that after we created a class, we're going to mention some prototypes, such as what kind of access specifier you're using. So this time private. And remember, you do not really have to mention private. Private can also be left, without being mentioned, but I'm mentioning it for you to understand that private is an access specifier that's left default. So private is a default access specifier. So when you don't mention this thing, what happens is that just prints the way it is, okay? Within the private context is what I mean to say. Okay, so I'm going to create an integer in here, and integer Germany. So Wednesday class integer Germany, and then that's going to be the integer, or that's going to be the variable and the data member, or the data member. Now I'm going to mention a public access specifier. You can have your options. Like when you eat an ice cream, what kind of an ice cream do you want? You want a chocolate ice cream, vanilla ice cream. In here we've got different kinds of spices: public one, private one, protected one. What is your choice? What is your ice cream, right? In here we're going to go, and in public specifier, access specifier, I'm going to mention a function. So let's go and create a function. This is going to be like Germany Wednesday class. Let's create a function mist. Okay, so I'm going to go MISSED mist and function, and that's it. Created a function, as simple as that. But that's not mist. That's mist. Okay, now what's going to happen in here is that I can actually give a value to Germany. Germany is just one. Definitely it has different things in there, like different countries surrounded by it, but you just say Germany is just one, right? So we're going to go ahead and write cout Germany is just one. So how, or we're just going to go like Germany is just what? What's the answer? If I write Germany is just one, what I'm doing is I'm just printing it right away, which is going to be endl, and that's it. What I can do in here in the integer main part is that I can create a class name, right? What's the class name? The class name is ved. Yeah, you're right, ved. And we're going to create an object name. So let's just take an object obj, as simple as that, with a semicolon. And we're going to take this same obj, copy the same obj within, below, dot. We're not going to put the semicolon. We are going to put the dot. And now we are going to mention what kind of things we need. In this case, we need a function. So it says Germany. It does not say mist. We're going to put mist. We're going to put mist because that's the function. That's the function we need to print, right? And then we're going to have cin dot. Some compilers don't really require this code, but I do require this code, and the reason why I need this code is because I need to hold, or I need to get the command, right? Or get the output. So I'm just going to return the value, say 120, 20 semicolon, and that's done for the day. But the problem with this is that if I run this thing, that was an old command or old program. If I run this thing, what's going to happen is, I get the answer. I get Germany is just one. What happens if I don't write anything in here? So say just say Germany, right? So it's going to be like, it's going to give some garbage values. It still says Germany is just 1. You see? It says Germany is just 1. But what's the point? I never did anything. Great. What I did was that I just printed this entire command. I didn't do anything of my own. So in order to do something of my own, even though this thing is missed or this thing is not there, the command will still run. There is no big difference, you see? But what happens when I say Germany is equal to 1? And what I do is I leave this thing here, close this thing, okay, put something like Germany. So what this Germany basically does is that it will print the output for you, which is 1, right? So it's going to be like Germany is just 1. Now the other idea was like, what if I change the numbers? What if I change this number to 120? So the output is supposed to be 120. It's not supposed to be 1. Okay? Now what happens, okay, that was all about functions. You can always play around, you can type this code and enjoy this code, but the question is what happens when there are functions, when the function is static and not a normal one. So how do you create a static function? What you do is, this is one class and that's the main function, right? So we're going to leave some space between the two and mention our prototype. So remember, that's our XXXXXXX prototype that we have to mention. Here is going to be, okay, so here is a place where I'm going to mention the static keyword. So that's going to be static integer Germany. Okay. Now the question is, what happens? Let me just erase this. Otherwise, the command is going to give errors, which you don't really need. When you run this, we get this kind of an error, which says static integer Germany equals 120, which is definitely wrong. We don't really need this. What we need is, we need to get the output, but it says, hey, this is static. I can't just do it. So the problem a lot of times is that you don't have to give values for static. There's no value for static. It's just the way it is. Static starts from 0. If you watch my previous courses or lessons, you will know why the static starts from 0. Okay. The reason why it's not printing is because if you look at the command, it says for number 13, undefined reference to WED Germany. Okay? And what that basically means is that we don't have definitions for this. So even if I create something like, that doesn't happen, which doesn't happen because it's a class, if I mention something like, say, static in here, okay, is this gonna work? Was the answer? No, it's not. The reason is because it's gonna point in here. Okay, remember I told you the XXX thing? Okay, now is the time where you have to remember this simple, easy, funny story. Once upon a time, there was an integer. So don't remember it as an integer. Let me put some space so that you can listen to my story. Like, okay, this is different. Forget about this. Forget about this. All we're concerned at the moment is this. This is the story part, storyline. Storyline, script. Wow. Okay. An ant. You know an ant, right? Like restaurant. But we're not talking about restaurant. We're talking about ant. Small ant. One day, an ant found class WED. So you're gonna write WED. Found the class WED. The name of the class is WED. So one day, an ant found class WED. The ant got so irritated, threw the class WED on a very strong pole. Pole is very big and massive, very strong. Man, oh man, you know what happened to the WED? The WED fell on the feast table, so massive. That feast table belonged to the ant. And whose loss was it? Of course, ants. And how do I say it was ants? Because this ant is the data type for Germany. So I'm going to be writing Germany in here. Okay? That's a silly story, but the silly it is, the good. And now, what we're going to do in here is that's one way of printing or displaying. The other way of doing is very simple. All you do is grab this entire piece, okay? So it's going to grab this entire piece, it's going to be width. And we have Germany. But instead of Germany, we're going to mention missed. So now Germany is missed. Okay? But we need the output. We don't care about if it is missed or not. We need the output 0. Okay? That means Germany is 0 now. Right? Because Germany is missed. And that's messy. Missed. Right, so let's check what we get in the output thing. Do we really make it, or do we still get an error? We get it. We say Germany is just 0. Germany is just 0. How do we make it from 0 all the way to 1? We're just going to add a plus plus increment operator in here. Or what we could do was, or you just let it be that way. So it's going to be like Germany equals 0. And Germany is just 1. So what that meant was that even though you have static stuff, so this is all about static. This is static function, because you have a function whose name is static, and that's how you get the result. That's a very basic understanding of how things work. Remember this story. This is not class. Don't ever type class in replace of this, thinking that I told the ant through the class. And the class just fell so badly on the floor and then fall on the feast. The feast is like a name for the ant. I just gave it a name for the ant. It belongs to the ant. The Germany belongs to ant. Okay, so the feast is Germany in this case. Remember, but whose loss was it? Of ants. But never do this, because if you do this, see what happens. First of all, the compiler might not understand what you're trying to do. Secondly, it's an error. It doesn't work that way. Okay?